Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Shorten Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.
From Mansell's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge, we're out to lunch with the editor of the Baton Rouge Business Report, Stephanie Regal. It's business Baton Rouge style.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Regal. Welcome to Out to Lunch. Over the next few years, the disaster management industry in the United States alone is expected to top $122 billion, which points to a lot of problems with our climate, but also to many opportunities for companies able to respond to the needs of city, state, and local governments when they're hit hard by natural disasters. Louisiana has a growing expertise in the disaster management arena and is home to a handful of companies that are carving out a space in the field and helping to define it as it becomes more specialized. At the same time, the state's tech industry is becoming more sophisticated and competitive, and local companies are providing services to clients in newer, different, and more effective ways. With me today to discuss this is Bart Farmer, co-founder and managing partner of the Workforce Group, a local company that provides claims, staffing, and disaster assistance to private clients and state and local governments. This is a field, Bart, that for your sake, I guess, fortunately is only going to grow, and one that's becoming increasingly specialized and technical too, right? So
that's correct. Thanks
for being here today on Out to Lunch and for teaching us all about it. Also at the table with me and Bart is Rob Wise, CEO of IT Inspired, a local IT company that helps businesses with all of their IT needs, including data, analytics, storage, security and networking, cloud services, and voice, phone systems, telecom services, and voice over IP. In other words, any service that has to do with anything technical. IT Inspired approaches what can be a technical and intimidating field with humor and a human touch. Rob, unlike some in IT, actually interacts really well with his fellow human beings. He's a former LSU cheerleader and actually a former Mike the Tiger who enjoys working with people as much as working with computers. It's a refreshing and different approach to something that is really a headache for a lot of small businesses when they got to call the IT guy in. So Rob, thanks for being here today on Out to Lunch.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Bart, I want to start with you. Disasters are big business, and when disaster strikes, the emergency aid organizations come in, and then you guys come in right behind them.
That's correct.
And when did you recognize the need for this?
Well, just to, I guess, kind of go back to my background a little bit. You know, I went to Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg, graduated in '99, then went to go work for State Farm Insurance. Worked for them as a consultant for 4 to 5 years, so I was very, pretty involved with the disaster side there. Then at some point kind of made a crossroads in my life and became an insurance adjuster, and that's kind of what got me in the disaster field. And then that's when Katrina hit.
Wow.
And which is the largest federal program at the time, and I was hired on by Providence Engineering at the time to kind of help build up their data set of adjusters and damage assessors, inspectors, people like that, and kind of grew from there. Next thing you know, I'm managing projects for them, I'm doing lobbying work for them, and it really became very obvious as it seems like storms just started hitting year after year. And as I grew with that business and then realized this is something that I'd like to kind of take and do myself, and really at the end of 2013 to beginning of 2014 was when Robbie and I started a Workforce Group, and we've grown since then.
And the idea is to really get staff on the ground quickly. I mean, so you have to find adjusters and people that are going to be able to come in and go to people's homes and do those damage assessments really within just a matter of days. And I guess you have to be flexible and move fast.
That's correct. Typically our clients are, first of all, they're dealing with a terrible disaster normally. They're stretched. I mean, their staff is stretched, and I mean, you can't get out there quick enough for them normally. And we've been lucky to have really good people that work for us, and we've got a huge network and database of adjusters and inspectors, people like that in the disaster field that worked for us in the past. And they like working for us, and we're able to respond quickly, which is what the client wants.
That's great. And I know y'all are doing a lot of different things sort of there all at once and moving fast. And Rob, your company, sort of the same thing. You all are addressing a host of IT needs that your clients have. There are a lot of companies that do this. What made you want to go out on your own and get into this field and try to carve a unique niche?
That's a good question. I've been working in IT for a while, so I love computers. But it was the human, that personal touch that was sort of missing the entire time. But I found that, just having something with a passion, having something you like doing, and interacting with people on a day-to-day is something that I like to do. So I took that as a career and became an IT consultant. Did that for about 9-10 years and decided to start our own company, IT Inspired. So it's been great, and we love to bring that human element to business. We think that's kind of missing in most cases.
So how do you find people that are good at IT and also know how to interact well with people?
You are asking the questions today. And honestly, that's what separates us. That's what differentiates us from everyone else. You can fix a computer problem. Most people can remove viruses or add a network, do some really cool server work, but it's the difference in people that makes that experience completely different, and it makes it a fun one. When usually, when people are at their worst in an IT problem, they have that presentation they're trying to get out, or the email they're trying to send, and it's not working. You're kind of hitting them in the disaster, right, Bart? You're hitting them at that moment of a disaster for them in their career. So for them to have someone they can rely on, not just to lighten the mood, but bring sort of a comforting, calming sensation to the experience, and maybe worry about the personal stuff first. Problems come second. So we'll put you at ease first, and then we make sure your problem's fixed.
So
that's pretty much the difference.
Nothing comforting or calming when the computer is
Definitely
not working.
Or when
right?
you forget your password.
You push
or
the button
down.
and you push it, and that just makes the computer more
That's it.
angry at you.
But it's tough to find those people, Stephanie. That's been a tough one for us. But we rely on a really detailed hiring process, and we always look for people that are hungry to do good things for good people, and they really enjoy an honest day's work.
So I want to talk about people, and Bart, because I think part of the key to your model is to be able to staff up quickly, but then you can't always keep those people on the payroll or on retainer or on staff because we don't always have a hurricane to recover from, fortunately.
Yeah.
So how do you all work that? I mean, how do you adjust your staffing levels and your business model sort of accordingly?
Well, it can be difficult at times, but I guess you could say we kind of have our core staff, your project managers, administrative staff, people like that. And then, typically on the disaster side, that type of staff, they're normally used to kind of working in peaks and valleys. They go kind of, I guess you could say they're almost like storm chasers.
So they're like itinerant adjusters out there, sort of?
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
So they're typically, storm's getting ready to hit, and they're calling you. They're like, hey, y'all ready? Y'all ready for me yet? Like, no, not yet. Maybe we need a contract, whatever. They're essentially ready to come work whenever necessary. But you always have your core staff that are, full time. I mean, you've got to, and I like to hire. I mean, me personally, is probably not the smartest thing as a business person, but I like to have really more staff than I really need, because I always want to be ready when the client needs us with our core staff. And, if we need to hire 50 more people or 100 more people, however many it may be, then we can do that too.
Now, what do you all do when there's not a storm? What other lines of work are you in?
Well, we actually, just go back a little bit, we started our company in 2014. We actually started an industrial construction staffing company, more on the skilled craft labor side. And the reason we started that at the time to be kind of our, I guess you'd say, pay the light bills, was because we were so used to staffing projects. My partner and I both worked at Providence, so he and I were used to working together. But we were very used to, hiring maybe it was 30 biologists on an oil spill within 72 hours. And we're like, heck, if I start this company, if we can hire 30 biologists in 72 hours for an oil spill, certainly we can find a welder or pipe fitter with 2 or 3 weeks notice. So that's why we started a staffing company first, and then we assumed when a disaster hits, we can switch directions, we can focus on that.
Okay.
And that's kind of how we did it. So again, we've got kind of our base as our staffing company, got our disaster recovery company, which we probably more on the long-term recovery side, which is on the housing mission, which would be essentially your like Restore Louisiana would be an example, which we work on as well.
So y'all are like projects. A subcontractor for Restore Louisiana or IEM or
we're actually a prime.
Louisiana OCD?
We're a prime. Because they put out as you probably remember, a few different contracts and stuff. Ours, we're a prime contractor just to do specifically damage assessments.
Interesting. Okay.
Anyway, so we do that for the state. Now, like in Texas, we work on the Texas reimbursement program. We're a prime there as well, and that's covering 48 counties, except for the city of Houston and Harris County. So there, we're doing outreach, we're doing applicant intake, we're doing eligibility, the environmental reviews that you got to do, damage assessments, which comes up with the estimate.
This is all for Hurricane Harvey, I guess.
For Hurricane Harvey, yeah. And anyway, it's a huge program. We're, I guess you'd say, kind of in the middle of it right now. We hope to be done with it by next February. Okay. And hope to serve as many as 4,000 people on that. And that's just with all the money they have allocated currently.
Interesting.
So that could change. But I guess where I was going with that is a lot of the work we do on the disaster side, it's long-term projects. I mean, they're can take a year or 2 years. So I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to say it, we almost
even if
always
a storm
have
didn't
something.
just immediately happen, you're still working on a post-storm.
We're still working. Again, like we're still working on Harvey. We're still working on the floods from Louisiana. We're still working in North Carolina for Matthew and now Florence.
There's going to be plenty to keep you busy.
I would say we almost always have something going on.
Wow. Now, Rob, who are your clients? Are they small businesses, medium-sized businesses, a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
We don't really have a focus or a target client. We've seen them in all different shapes and sizes. So a lot of small business. We started on the backbone of just mom and pop shops and helping out where we could. An office of 2 or 3 people. But now I think we're lucky we have enough skilled folks at the office and some really good team players that we can reach clients that are 500 or so. But it's quite a big difference between 5 and 500. So we sort of, I guess, level out in the middle for companies around 100, 200.
And how many employees do you have?
18.
Okay. And how do you find these people? I mean, like we talked about it a minute ago, they have to have good people skills because that's your brand.
That's it.
But how do you find them? And is there we talk a lot about the talent pipeline in Louisiana. Is it difficult to find skilled IT people?
The talent's here. I mean, the talent is here. It is just hard to tap into it. It's hard to find it because they're scattered. Your normal traditional routes of coming from LSU, Southern, the normal pipeline there is good. But it's been very fruitful for our internship programs. Now, for full-time hires, you get lucky every once in a while and can find someone at the right time that hasn't committed to a job already. And you can find them before they, head out to Houston or somewhere else, right? But what's funny is the less traditional paths has also been kind of interesting. We've picked up people that are, anthropology majors. Or they've come to us from economics, legal backgrounds. So, believe it or not, accountants make really, really good programmers. So while that isn't something we focus on, the talent is here. It's just tough to find them. Now, if you're talking about finding a person that can hold a conversation like this with you, Stephanie, it's tough because you have all the right questions, right? But it comes down to if you're a good person at heart, if you enjoy work for the sake of doing work and completing something or fixing and solving a problem, the challenge there can be enough to drive someone to do a good job. But ultimately, they have to be focused on customer service, and they have to enjoy dealing with people.
And you've been able to train accountants in computer programming?
We have had accountants come from us from that industry, and they have transitioned just fine.
There you go.
But you don't want me getting anywhere near the programming. That's not me.
I'd like to second what he said too. And that is that we do kind of similar deal. We look for just good people, and I mean, I'd say 75% of the people that work for us are doing things that they didn't go to college for and maybe didn't even do before they came to work for us. I mean, one of our very top people, essential to our company, one of our senior program managers for the program going on in Texas. I mean, she's a 27-year-old biology major that went to Southeastern Louisiana University, and I mean, she's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, she had never even heard disaster business, and we just kind of stumbled upon her. It's like, man, we need you, and she's one of our top people now.
You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. I'm talking with Bart Farmer of the Workforce Group and Rob Wise of IT Inspired. We'll be right back after this very short break. You're listening to Out to Lunch. I'm Stephanie Riegel. I'm talking to Bart Farmer of the Workforce Group and Rob Wise of IT Inspired. Rob, do you all train your employees? I mean, at your company and at IT Inspired?
Absolutely. I mean, I think they're a vast amount of people come with a great, breadth of experience, but you always kind of want to shape it into your culture, shape it into your brand or your company's way of doing things. So even though someone can come with us with all the experience in the world, there's still going to have to be a culture fit, and they're going to have to know how to do it the IT-inspired way. So yeah, there's going to be some training, some onboarding, but we've had really good success of taking people outside of those industries, bringing them in, incorporating them, and then making very successful IT folks. So I think we had Chris at my office, came from a cinema and an automotive parts background. We've got John, who's a teacher.
Okay.
He came as a teacher, teaching at the Tech Center in Denham Springs. So you have to be open to find good people no matter where they're at, and look not just at what their professional experience is, but their personal abilities and personality is more important for us.
Yep. Same way.
I didn't mean to steal the show.
No.
I was kind of seconding what you said earlier, about just finding good people and people that are willing to work and have that ability and want to learn too. I find that the people that are really good, you can give them a task, and that they probably don't really know how to do it, but you go check back on them the next day and they figured it out. Yeah. I mean, it could be even looking at YouTube, like, how do I do this? But they Google it or whatever, like they figure it out and they just do it.
How to work a disaster.
but when you all are not working a disaster, Bart, and you're staffing, say in an industrial site, for instance, I mean, are you able to provide skilled, workers for the refinery or for company XYZ?
Sure.
And I mean, do you have trouble finding trained workers?
I've always felt like we've done a very good job at finding people, and we tell our clients that, we literally only provide good people. I'm not saying there's somebody that slipped through the cracks every now and then. Of course, that always happens, but, we've been very good at being able to vet the people that we hire, and, sometimes it doesn't work out, but I mean, that's 5%, at least for us anyway. And, and our clients appreciate that. I mean, they, comparatively speaking, when they're comparing us to other companies that do what we do, they're like, man, y'all are, I mean, we're like in a 95% retention rate, and some of the other companies they use are like 50%, which boggles my mind. I couldn't even sleep at night thinking that 50% of the people I've sent somewhere might not work out.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. But both of y'all's, industries that your companies are in are changing so fast, and certainly in the disaster relief side of it, just so much bureaucracy now accompanies it, and there's so much paperwork and so many layers, and I know in IT, I mean, everything's in the cloud now, so that's it's like a whole different level of computing that you need to know.
Definitely.
How do you all keep up with the changes? I mean, do you have a chief information officer who's in charge of just keeping your companies up to speed with what's the latest and greatest and must-know stuff?
We do, and it is difficult, especially on the disaster side when you're working with the federal government, federal dollars. I mean, you have to cross all your T's and dot all your I's, and we've always been very good at that. Big data is a big part of that. We do have a very robust, data division. My business partner actually comes from the IT side, so and he not only can build a data system for, say, a state agency or just a project just for us, but he knows the whole process in between, which is huge, to get done. But yeah, it can be very, very difficult working on with the federal agency and stuff like that, just from the compliance aspect, and you it's just something you have to do.
Sure.
And you got to do right.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, we're lucky that the industry that we're working in is the same one that we get to play in. So when it comes to either finding new devices or new technology, that's sort of our thing, right? That's what we like to do. That's what we love to do. So we're always sort of, even on our own personal time, just looking at, I'm not going to say at work stuff. We do turn off, right? But we're not always plugged in. But we're always looking for new ways to fix problems, and I think that's kind of it. If you have a problem, and if you're a business owner or whatever sort of role you're in, if you need to accomplish something and you need to work through some challenges, it's really just fighting through that and fixing a problem, just troubleshooting the issues, and finding the people that find that exciting is the trick. That's the trick, because then work and play can be the same.
So I want to ask y'all about competition in your respective fields. I would imagine for IT Inspired there is a lot of competition. I know there is. Workforce Group, I'm not as familiar with companies that are doing exactly what y'all are. I mean, do you go up against an IEM or a CSRS when there's a disaster, or you complement what they do?
We do compete with them. At times, the disaster business, they always say, is very incestuous. One day you're competing, the next day you're teaming up. And of course, we've kind of always, I don't like to burn a bridge, so I'll make compete.
You have to build them, right? You're in the disaster.
Exactly. So we just do what we can to work together. Sometimes it makes sense for us to be together. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for us to be together. But yeah, it is very competitive business.
I would almost say that echoes the IT industry, to be quite honest. There's times when it's strategically, advantageous for you to partner up. There's times when you're going after the same work. But at least in IT in Baton Rouge, if you've worked with one company, you've worked with them all, and you sort of know who you're working with in that group. And I think we're lucky that we share information. Of course, we're all in it for our own benefit and our own desires, but for the most part, we work together. I would say IT in Baton Rouge is pretty cohesive, and they work together, not against.
Do you all go in more for long-term contracts with, say, a regular customer, or do you respond to disasters when somebody just picks up the phone and says, "Oh my God, our computer system went down"?
Both of those. We love the contracts, the steady work, the ones we're able to budget on, and place people at. That's really what we like. But that's not always available. Just sort of like disasters, they come when they come. But for us, those contracts aren't always renewing, and you sort of have to know the right people. You have to get plugged in too. So for us, we've transitioned away from the break fix work, where you call me and it's a disaster and you need me right now.
Right.
Now we can assist and we can help. We have a way to do so, but we've tried to shift to a more proactive approach, where we have hands-on throughout the year and multiple times, and we're working towards initiatives along the way. Not just you call me and you have a problem and I need to solve that one thing, because usually there's 3 or 4 other things behind the scenes that are also causing problems that we might not be looking at.
How much of y'all's work is local or regional, I would say, Southeast Louisiana, versus out of state? I know.
In my case, obviously we, again, unfortunately, have had a lot of storms in Louisiana, so I do a decent amount in Louisiana, but we go anywhere. We'll go out of the country if asked. We currently work in, 3 other states besides Louisiana. So currently speaking, we're actually doing more work out of the state than we are in the state. But
that's just because we're lucky. We haven't had a disaster, bad disaster in a couple of years.
And saying that, a lot of my employees, though, are actually working in Louisiana. We've got our own call center here in Louisiana, so for our case managers, people like that, we're all employed here. We do have project-specific people that are working, in Texas and North Carolina and stuff like that. But we try to keep people here as much as we can.
Rob, do y'all need to grow outside of Baton Rouge, or is that part of the plan?
We are. But, there has been a steady amount of growth here. And Louisiana is our number one, right? We're based here. That's where most of our work is. So the majority of our clients are going to be in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, or Lake Charles. And then outside of that, we see a lot of clients in, let's say, Mississippi and Texas. But we reach everywhere from West Texas to the Carolinas. into Massachusetts. So we've done work in the region, and we're always sort of looking for new opportunities here and new opportunities outside Louisiana as well.
What is the next big thing on the horizon for your respective companies?
Do you want to go for this one first?
I guess the biggest thing we're I wouldn't say the biggest thing we're working on right now, but one area we're definitely trying to grow more is our insurance division, which is insurance claims division. We've been lucky enough, we just really opened it about a year ago. Now it's a lot of the same staff that can work on our disaster recovery side are the same type of people, adjusters that work for insurance adjusting services. And so we're really trying to grow that division. We're even looking at potentially acquiring companies or winning by relationships, stuff like that.
Fantastic.
But that's the area we're definitely
And
growing.
this is insurance adjusting just outside of disaster recovery, right?
Yeah,
Just
it
in
could
general.
be daily claims, they call it. That's your everyday, pipe starts leaking in the ceiling, whatever. And then, of course, and that's one reason why we're wanting to focus on that, too, is to have more of a, everyday stuff coming in and not be so tied to natural disaster.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Rob?
And so is this on a company basis, or would this be like just for our industry? I'm sorry.
Whichever you think is more fun
Oh,
to
it's
answer.
definitely more fun to talk about the personal
Yeah,
side of our
okay.
company. The next big thing for us, I think the next big thing for us is going to be a push to get staffed up properly right now. And we need 2 folks right now.
Okay.
The work is there. But I think it's going to be finding those next team members that bring added value and benefit to the team that we can call on to do some really good work for our clients. So staffing up is my answer.
Well, Rob Wise and Bart Farmer, both of your companies are great examples of the technical and technological know-how that exists right here in the Capital Region, and it's encouraging to see so much entrepreneurial energy at the local level in such very important fields. So we look forward to following your continued success. Thanks for being here today and sharing your stories on Out to Lunch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
My guests today on Out to Lunch have been Bart Farmer of the Workforce Group and Rob Wise of IT Inspired. You can find out more about the Workforce Group and IT Inspired by going to the links on our website, itsbatonrouge.la. The producer of our show is Grant Morris. Our technical producer is Eric Merle. Our associate producer is Peter Raschuti, and our Baton Rouge business consultants are Charlie D'Agostino, Dave Winwood, and Ann Edelman. If you want to know what we all look like, you can find photos from this show on our website, itsbatonrouge.la, and on our It's Baton Rouge Facebook page. These photos were taken by Carrie Hosford, and you can find more of Carrie's photos at carriehosford.com. You can hear this show and past episodes of Out to Lunch wherever you get podcasts and at itsbatonrouge.la. Out to Lunch is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsbatonrouge.la and WRKF 89.3 FM. I'm Stephanie Riegel. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to meeting you again next week around the table here at Mansur's for more business Baton Rouge style on Out to Lunch.
Out to Lunch Baton Rouge is recorded live over lunch at Mansur's on the Boulevard in Baton Rouge. Mansur's is open for lunch daily 11 to 2, for dinner nightly, and for brunch on Saturdays and Sundays. Mitchell Foreman wrote and performs all the music on Out to Lunch. You can hear Mitchell's music anywhere great jazz is sold or streamed, and at mitchellforeman.com. Major support for Out to Lunch is provided by the law firm of Jones Walker, established in 1937 with over 375 attorneys in offices throughout the U.S., providing a comprehensive range of services to a local, national, and international client base. JonesWalker.com. And by Short & Associates, legal recruiters in Louisiana and Texas. And Orange Theory Fitness, delivering fitness results for a healthier world.